Hello, and welcome to the playtest session one of Pride, Prejudice, and Practical Magics. Um, I am playing today with awesome people from the Gauntlet. My name is Haley, and I am going to be facilitating this game. And let us hear about the wonderful individuals and also characters that are going to be populating our game. Um, Veronica, would you like to start us off?
Hello, I am V. I'm today playing Miss Francine Lowe. She's young, 27. Unfortunately for her, though, her family has started her off in the worst possible way by getting wrapped up in some terrible scandal some 10 years previous to the start of this game. They unfortunately meddled with some less than respectable magics concerning the way our memory works, and we'll find out Sid's character, Miss Eleanor Willoughby, was unfortunately wiped some of her memories. And so due to that fact, the Lowe family was incredibly disgraced, got sued, they went into hiding, and Miss and Francine sort of lived her life as a dependent in another person's estate since then. Due to that same incident, she was being cursed to have extremely bad luck. So hopefully she'll be able to lift the curse during this game, but we'll find out.
Tomo.
Hello. I will be playing Wizard Jaji Prasanna, and Wizard being just a title that's equal to Lord. So it doesn't really mean too much about my actual magic-y abilities. I will be playing the Socialite, and Jaji also is 27, much like Francine. In fact, Francine is staying at the Prasanna residence after these unfortunate incidents, right? And I think Jaji has taken a bit of a shine to our friend here, and we will see what exactly that looks like. But one of his main goals is to bolster their reputation, and I think Jaji is hoping that that Francine gets elevated to these upper tiers, possibly through, I don't know, I can only guess, like maybe taking on the leadership role in a wizard school or something. I'm just throwing it out there. But anyways, sorry, what else did we want to add here? Yeah.
That is wonderful. Awesome. Cool.
Well, I do want to add one other thing. I think what we'll find is Jaji is fairly influential in some ways, and maybe just because of his pure kind of like social movements and charisma, but is also wizardly somewhat incompetent.
I love that. Sid.
Hello, my name is Sid. I use they them pronouns, and I am playing Mrs. Eleanor Willoughby, who uses she, her, and is a grand 62 years old, or as we call it in good society, 1.5 feet in the grave. I have sworn a wizard's oath to Jaji that I would leave my position as the chief of the College of Wizardry, which needs a cooler name than chief. We'll have to work on that as a team. To Miss Francine Lowe, to V's character, which I'm very excited about. I'm playing a dowager, so I'm the older lady who has a lot of like sort of personal power, but has people who want to take that from her upon her imminent death. Her imminent imminent death. At some point in these 4 sessions, what I'm saying is I'm going to die. And I'm very excited about that. Why can't you speak to me now?
Great. I mean, that's an unusual thing to be excited about, but great. And Ryan.
Sorry, I was making notes in the rumors tab because I hadn't actually written down my rumors yet. I am playing Philip Ashbury, who used to have a title, but now I'm only Mr. Philip Ashbury, I suppose. I'm using the Hedonist playbook, and I am part of the peerage, but I am no longer because I've been disinherited. Officially, there's no real story on that besides that I'm, just a gadabout and not worth much. But the timing of that and the timing of Miss Francine Lowe's sudden rash of terrible luck match up really perfectly, and I visibly cursing another family. That's pretty awful. That must be what got me cast out. I'm the much younger sibling of Mrs. Eleanor Willoughby, and dang, what else am I supposed to put in here? I'm awesome, and everyone wants to hang out with me, except that I've been disinherited, so I've got no money or title, but I'm still fun.
Yeah, I believe that. So we have already completed magical collaboration, and we decided that magic is common and everyone uses it, but it is frowned upon, somewhat uncouth, and occasionally illegal. Fortunately, it's not too difficult, so it's something you can easily manage on the sly, or at least you can try. So we have created our connections, but what we need to do is go through them and decide who will play what. So everybody will pick one of another character's connections to play. But what we'll do is we'll just get everybody to quickly run through the 2 connections they have created and tell us just in a snapshot who they are so we can get a good sense of them and who is around in this game. So I'm just going to go in the same order. V.
Yep, I've got 2 connections. So the first one I've made is the person I am eternally thankful for reintroducing me back to society. And that is the local vicar, Anne Matthews. So she sort of took me under her wing and helped to grease the wheels of society enough that I could re-enter to a degree. She's a low-key witch as well in the local witches association with me. And my second connection is Zamir Prasanna. And Zamir is the younger brother of Jaji and my best mate. We've grown up together in the past 10 years at the Prasanna residence. And he is my confidant, my best friend, and we tell each other everything. Unfortunately, he always gets himself into trouble, and he's not above using magic to get what he wants.
Awesome. Tomer.
All right, so we've got the witch Arjani Prasanna, which is Jaji and Zamir's mother. And she believes, I think, that Jaji is untalented as far as magic is concerned and can learn a lot by emulating his younger brother Zamir, who has kind of a natural talent for some of that work. But that said, I mean, we don't have a totally strained relationship. I mean, I think I use my charisma to kind of woo her a little bit, but I never got a hang of this magic stuff. He's a natural, right? Zamir is a natural. And then the other character I've created is Mrs. Nuvia Perez, and Mrs. Perez is the Lowe's lawyer, right? So this is the lawyer for Francine and her family in their case against the Willoughbys. I haven't quite figured out what she thinks of Jaji yet, if it's a positive or negative thing, and I'm open to opinions on what that might be.
She can't stand you.
I kind of originally I was thinking that maybe she thinks Jaji is kind of like a liability in the case. Like there's something, but I don't know exactly what that means. I could just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I like that. Sid.
My connections are beginning first, Miss Felicity Leasewood. Now, Felicity is a 25-year-old woman and my niece. She is actually, you know what? She's now she's now Miss Felicity Leasewood. She's an unmarried woman who considers me to be a good source of cash to support her hedonist lifestyle. For that reason, Philip, Ryan's character, is her absolute hero. And being only a couple of years older gives her an opportunity to look up to someone and as much of a troublemaker as she is. My secondary contact is Mr. Oliver Philpotts. Oliver is my officially my live-in butler, but he is a young protege wizard who I'm probably banging, and I think he's like desperate for me to pass on my knowledge before I die, which is like super soon, because I'm super old. And also, I think he has an expectation that I'm going to leave my position at the College of Wizards to him, which we've already discussed. I will not do because I have sworn to leave that to Francine Lowe. So that's going to be a joy.
Apparently, I don't know this though at all.
Yes. Sorry, we told V we're gonna have to start the game again because V now knows things that is meant to be secret.
Yes. So, we are of course playing today with no secret or hidden information. And I should mention that we are also playing with gender norms off, so we don't have to patriarchy, which is just wonderful, really. So Ryan, your connections.
I have Countess Georgiana Ashbury, who is Philip's mother, believes him to be an embarrassment to the family name, unworthy of his otherwise quite fortuitous star chart. She's elegant, severe, eminently respectable, and would never be part of magical schemes. I mean, this is all just slander and libel and other legal terms that are no doubt going to come up in that court case that is surfacing soon. And I'm not entirely sure how old she is because I'm like, is she the same age as my older sister? That'd be so awkward. I don't know. Is she 100? I just don't know. She's older than me. And then Euphemia Sedgwick, who is my extravagant best friend, finds me a bit off his game since that whole disinheritance mess, but still a load of fun, and is a social butterfly at the cutting edge of style and daringly obvious with her magic use.
Scandalous. Cool. So now each of you get to choose one connection that belongs to another player, which you will also play during the game. And you usually want to choose a connection that doesn't have heaps to do with your character. So, for example, Jaji probably doesn't want to pick his brother Zamir because that could get awkward. But if you do end up in the same scene, that's not a worry. I will take over the connection for the period of that scene. So, if you have a character in mind that you would like to play, please shout. And when you find them, just put your name on that top bit, and if you're really fancy, you can even change the color to the color of your major character bit.
I will play Felicity Leasewood, Eleanor's niece.
Yes, V.
I think
Yes.
that would be fun.
I can't wait to play off you in that. It's going to be so good. And while I'm talking, I in turn will play Mrs. Nubia Perez, if no one has an objection. Beautiful.
I was going to call dibs, but I want you to play that so bad.
No.
Nope, you have to. You do.
Are you sure?
Nope, you clicked it first. It's yours.
Okay. That sounds wonderful.
I have to admit, now that that Haley mentioned it, I kind of want to play Zamir, and the two would never be in scenes together. But I don't know. I'm kind of leaning toward Countess Georgiana. Ashbury. I want to be a mother embarrassed of her son.
Yes, awesome. That's going to be a great character. You can be awful to Philip, and it will be amazing. Cool. So, and I will play Alder, meaning connections, which is lots of fun I get to have, and I cannot wait.
Then, unless anyone really wants her, can I call dibs on Vigor and Matthews?
Desu, I reckon you are going to make a great Anne Matthews, Ryan.
So connections are basically like for us to use as plot fodder. And their two roles are sort of to make the lives of the major characters more complicated and to be tools in their plots and schemes. So they can appear as much or as little as we would like. But definitely the ones that are played by you guys are going to be the more important ones that we will hopefully see a lot of. So I should probably explain how to play Good Society. So Good Society is played in a series of cycles. And that cycle consists of a number of phases that we will walk through. And I will sort of go more into detail into the rules of each phase as we get to it. But just as a brief overview, the first phase is the event chapter, which is sorry, the first phase is the novel chapter phase. I know how to play the game I made. It's fine. And during that phase, we will. That phase is sort of like in character play, like standard role playing, kind of what you expect. After that, there is the reputation phase where reputations will rise and fall. And then there is rumor and scandal, where we will create the rumors that are flying about town, and followed by the epistolary phase or the writing of letters. Very important. And once we have done all of that, we will do it again. And then we'll have upkeep and get ready for the next cycle. So that is the cycle of play. During play, the rules that you need to know about. So this is definitely a player-centered game. It's all about you guys. I'm just really here to look pretty and occasionally play a character that isn't very important. So it's all about you pursuing your desires and exploring your relationships. And the tools you have at your disposal to do that. The most useful one are your resolve tokens. So resolve tokens let you make changes in the world, or for your character to do or know things that are difficult or unlikely. And you will start with resolve tokens. Connections have resolve tokens as well that they can use to influence the world. What you can use a resolve token for is basically whatever you can think of within the guidelines of collaboration. So some examples might be to find out some secret information, to create a carriage accident, to cause somebody to fall over on the dance floor, a lot of accident ones, or to convince or compel somebody to do something. You can use resolve token for that too. Sometimes, so mostly when you use a resolve token, it just goes away. It's used up. But sometimes you will need to enter into a negotiation with another player. And that will happen if you're using a resolve token in a way that is harmful to their interests, or if you are using it to compel somebody to do something. And that in that case, basically the way it works is say for example, that Francine wanted to compel Jiaji to introduce her favorably to some other person. That was a poor example, but you get the idea. So V could offer a resolve token to Toma and be like, this is what Francine wants. Can you introduce me? And then Toma has got 3 options in response. Can either say yes, take the token, and the thing happens. Yes, but. So take the token, but only if you in turn introduce me to this other person. And then it goes back to V to see whether or not V wants to go forward with that, or if it really interferes with what you're thinking, you can say no. So that's how the negotiation works. But we will step through it again when it happens. So that's kind of resolve tokens. Does that make sense to people? Any questions about those? They can be a bit like confusing conceptually, but when we start using them, it'll make more sense. On top of that, everybody has a monologue token. You can play your monologue token on another player to basically make their major character deliver a monologue about their inner thoughts and feelings at the current time. So the world stops, everything freezes, we go into that person's head and we hear what they're thinking. And these refresh every cycle. And if you don't spend them at the end of the cycle, you're forced to spend it during the upkeep phase. So use them because they're fun. And the last thing we should probably talk about is reputation. So at the moment, you all have your starting reputation tags. You can use these in the same way as a resolve token, basically to influence the game. And so for your positive ones, you would use your own positive ones to be like, hey, do this for me because I'm honorable, and you use that as a compel. Or, if you want to make a change in the world, like, I won this award because I'm honorable, and you can use the reputation tag for that. If you do that, it gets nixed. It goes away. The effect of that reputation has come to pass. Negative tags, other people can use your negative tags against you. You can also use your own negative tags against yourself. Why would you do that? Well, the reason is because if your tags stack up to 3, either negative or positive, that will trigger a reputation condition, which is something extra that happens. And obviously 3 positive ones generally leads to something good happening in your life, and 3 negative ones, something not so good. And that condition stays until you either use them against yourself or somebody else uses them for you. So that is reputation. We will go more into detail about that during the reputation phase as well. And I think that's all we need to know about Good Society. But for the Magic expansion, there is a couple of other things to note. So we have 2 factions in our game. Factions have a desire. I think that's only as important as we want to be. But I think the College of Wizardry is about to decide on a new leader, which I think is something that is going to be important in our game. Factions have influence. That influence will be adjusted during the reputation phase based on the actions of its members. A faction which is which is influential or higher, so has 2 or more influence, can make a decree, a magical decree, and that must be agreed upon by the leader and 1 other member. So basically, Sid, you're the leader, and Oliver will probably do whatever you say. So if at any point you want to make a magical decree, you can pretty much just do so. The other thing is to note is if you want to cast a spell in the dock in the bottom corner, you will see the spell casting table. So if you want to cast a spell that is not influential on the story or anything, it's just flavor, just do it. Like, just please fill this world with magical bullshit. I'm all about that. If you want to cast a spell that is going to be significant to the story, you need to use the spell casting table. And there's two sides of the table. Pay a resolve token side works like a regular resolve token, but the target or the facilitator, if there is no target, will pick one of these options for you to sort of describe as well. Or instead of you paying a resolve token, they can just opt to describe the answer to one of those questions. And then if you don't want things to go well for you, but actually want horrible things to happen to you, there is another side. If you want your spell to go wrong or bad consequences to occur, you can receive a resolve token when you cast a spell. And in that case, the target or the facilitator will pick from a list of terrible things that could happen to you. So that is how spell casting works in this game. And I think that is actually everything we need to know to play. Does anyone have any questions before we jump into the first novel chapter?
One quick question. There's rumors and scandals that we've already established, right? Were we each to establish one of these? Is that how it worked?
No.
Or?
So it was just V had to establish two from her desire, and then Ryan had to establish one.
Okay, so let me get rid of the one I wrote for no reason.
And we will go further into rumor and scandal in the rumor and scandal phase. But for now, rumors that have been created but haven't been spread are things that are floating around society, and people may or may not believe them to be true. Awesome. So we will begin with our first novel chapter, which will be an event of some kind where everyone has the opportunity to mix. And I wonder if it... Okay, before I decide that, I have a question. What's the relationship like between the College of Wizardry and the local Witches Association? Like, are they like at each other's throats, or do they have an uneasy alliance? Like, what's the situation there? I'm going to throw this one to Eleanor.
Is that me? Is that my character name?
Yeah, that's you.
Okay, so go again with the question. Exactly. I was like, okay, this is a question someone will answer. And then you're like, Eleanor. I'm like, oh shit, I think that might be me.
Well, I want you to weigh in first about what the relationship is like between the College of Wizardry and the local Witches Association.
I think I think there's a real difference of philosophy. I think that as organizations, the College of Wizardry believes that they are proper and professional, and they are doing what they need to do to make magic be accepted in society. And I think that the local witches do what they feel is right. They do what they feel helps people. And that's kind of the philosophical difference between them. And that means that they are, while not necessarily at odds, there's certainly a rivalry between them. Does that pass?
Yeah, I like that. That sounds great. Because I was wondering if our opening event might be the night that Eleanor is to announce who is going to succeed as the next leader of the College of Wizardry.
Yeah, I mean, so I really want Francine to succeed me because that is the swearing that I have done. But Oliver believes that he's to succeed me. It's quite an interesting thing. What I'm interested in is so we've already said that Ryan's character Philip was kind of like had this birth ceremony that gave him the right to have peerage and that sort of stuff. Is that something that exists within the College of Wizardry? That like, do we have like a requirement or a ceremony that we undergo or something like that? Not even a ceremony, but like, yeah, is there a requirement? Do you have to be born under a certain moon, or do you have to have achieved a certain thing in your life, or? Or is it just like when the person who runs it dies, they put you in their will?
Francine, do you have a viewpoint on that?
Yeah. I think that, as Eleanor, as the current leader, can nominate sort of, it's your job to talk to everyone, get them into the shortlist, nominate, and then everyone in the local chapter votes from those nominations. And there's like
democracy.
Yeah.
I love it.
But it's nepotistic democracy where it's more like Eurovision than it is democracy.
I love that. I love that it like requires a short list, right? So like I can just nominate one person. Or but that's probably not.
That would be really awkward. Yeah, no.
But it'd be really awkward to just nominate one person. So usually you nominate, like, it has been said that you nominate one person that everyone knows is going to win, and one person that like is the joke candidate.
So I'm thinking that our first chapter we're definitely going to open on the event where Eleanor Willoughby is going to announce the shortlist, right?
Oh my god.
So that's what's happening at the end of the night. But before that, there's going to be canapes and people showing up and relationships. So I'm thinking that, like, I want to ask Jaji, this is a College of Wizardry event. So I'm guessing that it's not necessarily something you would ordinarily attend, except that you have a bit of a vested interest. I mean, how did you end up attending this event?
I think it had to do with, it's got to be something finagled. I mean, the only way I could attend is it has to be on the arm of somebody who was invited.
I love it.
I don't know who that person is, but I am open.
Is it Oliver?
Maybe. Oh, I think that'd be great. Yeah.
Cool. I like that. Awesome. So, where is this being held? And I'm going to throw it to Ryan. Ryan, set the scene for us. What does this event look like?
Oh my goodness, I was still working out this. So how did I sneak into this event, given that I can't possibly be in good standing with them?
I'm excited for that too. So you can set it up so it's very easy to sneak in.
Or not, then you can be fantastic at sneaking in.
I mean, magic. I don't need logic or reasons or anything. I feel like since it's a wizard college, university, whatever, it has to be in a grand old like stone, not really castle sort of thing, but yeah, totally like castle type thing that's been lovingly updated magically so it's not crumbling and awful, except in the ways that are aesthetically appealing. So you're not going to fall through the stairs. It just looks like you might, because that makes it look more respectable. And probably lots of tapestries. Very fancy.
That's great. And I imagine it's sort of like filling up with various old important people who are like filling up. I was saying, Sid, that the event is or Ryan has let us know that it is in a castle that is tactfully crumbling.
That's so good.
It is gradually filling up with rich old people who are coming over and networking with you a bit, and just generally trying to appear more important than they actually are. So we will start our night with Eleanor. Eleanor, what are you doing as the evening begins?
So I think it's like a relatively small, like a relatively intimate gathering, right? Because even though this is the college or the local thing of the college, it's still rather scandalous to kind of belong to this thing. So it's not like everyone and their mum belongs to it. And so I begin the evening by taking my post at the door, and it's my duty to greet everyone that walks in. And I think that when we first see Eleanor, she's dressed in, oh boy, I don't know if I want to go wizard or I want to go Austen. I kind of want to do both at the same time, and I can't. I think she's dressed in like this like really tasteful dress with the is it the shawl that goes like over the elbows and around the back? Yeah. And the shawl, and then like has a crown, and the crown is like old and it's anachronistic, right? It's like it's well preserved, but it looks out of place against this modern quote unquote outfit. But she's wearing the crown, and she stands at the door, and as people enter, she probably I think there's like a thing about even though she's a leader, it's like seen as a service position, and so she like curtsies to people as they walk in, and she's like, "Greetings, thank you for coming. You know, it's a pleasure to host you here."
Right, and they're sort of like, politely greeting you back, and like some of them are like very excited, and there's others who are clearly thinking like, "Oh my gosh, she's wearing the crown. Why is she wearing the crown?"
Oh yeah. I think even though this is a special occasion, the crown doesn't normally come out for this sort of thing. Eleanor's just that kind of person. Yeah, absolutely.
And so I want to know, let's zoom in on you greeting someone of importance, and it will either be Countess Ashbury or Miss Lee. How do you say Felicity's last name?
Leasewood, yeah.
Leasewood. Which of those two do you think is going to be arriving?
Well, honestly, I think. Oh man, do I want to play off V or Tomes at the moment? I think I'm really interested to see to meet Countess Ashbury, especially because she's my mother, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, is she your mother, or is she your? Did we decide on that?
Oh,
is she your mother
good
or
point.
Your stepmother?
Good point.
Either way, it's super interesting.
Yeah.
We haven't put her age on the sheet.
Oh God.
It's God. Now.
Fantastic.
Is she your contemporary, or is she
So
super old?
I would actively spend a resolve token for her to be your stepmother, because I
Yeah.
like that dynamic.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think she'd be the stepmother, and I think that she might even be like younger than me.
Yes.
That feels scandalous. That feels good
See
society-ish. Yeah.
So what is Countess Ashbury wearing to this event, and how does this look like as she approaches Eleanor?
Well, unlike Eleanor, Countess Ashbury is wearing a proper uniform for this type of event. 100% proper. Like anyone who, has looked at the history of these events would know that every piece of clothes that she's wearing is kind of like socially perfect for this specific event, right? I think that includes a purple, kind of like flowing gown. It's not ostentatious at all or anything like that. It looks very comfortable. However, there are streams, like the what would you call it? The kind of border around the sleeves, the bottom of the sleeves and the bottom of the gown is kind of like this gold and silver threading with little beads that have also been kind of worked in there. And in this case, I'm going to say that the gown has a little bit of flare in the shoulders. So there's a little bit of almost like a kind of wire type material, which makes the shoulders come up in kind of like a weird, elegant shapes, right? And asymmetrically, right?
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Also, her hair is done up in kind of like, you know, like an interesting kind of bun, and that's just her own kind of thing. Everyone knows that, you know, she has. It's not quite like a honeycomb, like that old 50s US stereotype, but it is kind of like these, you know, 2 or 3 kind of flagrant, you know, croppings.
Great. So how did this conversation go, Eleanor, when you see your stepmother coming towards the door?
So as I said, like the standard thing is it's very much a service position, and so, you know, I'm to curtsy and welcome and to thank you graciously for entering. And when you walk in, Eleanor maintains her position, like standing upright, and she says, greetings, Countess Ashbury. Your seat has been set for you."
I think my hand comes out in a manner which is supposed to be held by you deferentially, right? Like that's the way my hand has been placed. And I've kind of been watching, you know, you curtsy and greet everybody in front of me. So I'm just standing there and waiting silently.
I think there's like this empty hand hanging between us, and I respond with, "Oh, did you not bring someone to accompany you? I'm sure that somewhere in this party, someone else is also unaccompanied and could attend to you if you are lonely."
When you get to where I am, my dear, you don't need someone to accompany you. I am all the company that anyone needs.
Well, as much as I would love to continue this conversation, Georgiana, I'm terribly busy. You know, being the headmistress of the College of Wizards is an awfully consuming job, and I must attend to my duties.
Oh, I know. In fact, I'm waiting for you to attend to your duties right now. My hand has not moved. It's standing there, and I am not moving. And there's this line of people behind us just kind of waiting to be greeted, right?
Yeah. And there's this really great moment where, oh shit, I don't know if it's going to be more of a loss of face to like defer to you, or more of a loss of face to, yeah, that's so good to like have this thing back up. And I think my eyes like track over the people behind, and I like, yeah, it's super lose. I take your hand in like the wettest fish handhold that I can, with the limpest of hands, and I curtsy in front of you in like, if you blinked you would miss this curtsy, and I just like drop it, and then I come back up and I like straighten all my clothes and I like brush off invisible dirt to try to clean myself, and I'm so like visibly uncomfortable.
And I have a little smirk on the side of my face. And, you know, as soon as you do this, and one little eyebrow kind of goes up, and pleased. And I say, "Thank you, my child." And then I move on. And that's very clear and crisp and loud.
Oh, God, that hurts.
That scene.
Oh, Tomes, you bastard.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, so good. I want to see Francine. How do you end up at this event? Who do you arrive with?
So did I get an invite to this event or not?
Are you a part of the College of Wizards?
Definitely not.
Then, unless you are attending someone, you can fuck right off. Are you
Just announce somebody who isn't there. Yeah.
Oh my God, is my brother in the College of Wizards? That'd be fantastic.
You're a member of the local Witches Association too, so your presence here is almost scandal on its own. So you had better have a real good way of getting in, or have someone with you. Oh, interesting.
I really like the idea that Zamir is part of the College of Wizards because it creates a nice tension between the brothers. So are we cool with rolling with that?
Yeah. I'm cool. So that answers how Francine ends up at this event. It's on the arm of Zamir, and it's not even even something that Francine would have done if had she not lost a particular bet to Zamir. The past week, well, they have like a weekly game of I imagine some sort of card game, and it's sort of the only time she sort of lets loose in that sort of way with Zamir. And yeah, she ends up being his accompanying him for the night.
What do you? So we've sort of spoken about some of the things that the College of Wizards wear. What do the local witches wear? And I guess, do you wear something that makes you stand out in this?
So the local witches association doesn't put much stock in what you wear. So we there is no witches clothing. Our efficacy is measured by the good we do in this world, like everything else. So we have no use for trinkets. We just have use for good hearts and good hands doing good work, that sort of thing. So Francine comes and she's wearing a lovely baby blue dress. She doesn't want to stand out because she knows that people know who she is, and talk always follows her. So I think as part of this, she's, as Zamir, and it's just, next to Zamir, she's like, I know I lost this bet, and I am accompanying you just as my word, but you're going to have to be the one to stand out in this case. I came here to be your friend, but I did not come here to be maligned by these hoity-toity fools.
Yes, and Zamir replies with, of course, naturally, I can see them all looking at you, and it is a very upsetting state of affairs. When you are quite right, I'd rather their eyes be on me. And he gives a little wave, and his, what had previously been a really dark-colored overcoat and pants and waistcoat sort of light up with this bright, glittering sparkle that imbues his entire body. And he's like, are you satisfied? Sure, there may be a few more pairs of eyes looking our way, but I guarantee you, you're no longer their focus.
And she's gives him a little playful shove and says, that is better, though one should not use magic so flippantly. But
we're at a College of Wizardry event. If now is not the time to get away with a little bit of magic, I'm not sure when is. And I think he says very offhandedly, Francine, he's probably too familiar with you as well. Francine, it's a pity you're going to marry my brother because you are quite good company.
Yes, a great pity. And Francine also does a little magical thing, and basically adds Zavir's name emblazoned in embroidery on his back, across his back, and follows him in.
Meanwhile, Philip, how do you end up at this event?
I was just wondering if, I was a member of the College of Wizardry and I was never officially stricken from the rolls or something, or if I'm here as someone's awkward +1. Because either of those sound awesome and scandalous.
I could absolutely imagine Felicity inviting you as a +1 and so that you can raise hell together. Oh, sorry,
That's
V. Felicity's your character. You do these things. Sorry, me and my narrative authority.
No, all good.
That was my
sounds
first
awesome.
inclination to ask if Felicity could ask me along because you have Ray's
I,
hell.
I was actually just adding Felicity to the College of Wizardry.
Awesome.
I would really like to see this, like the conversation that occurs between Felicity, Philip, and Eleanor at the doorway as they're coming in.
Why does this not work?
And I would say by this time, like they're sort of at the end, so the line has calmed down. There's not time pressure, and it's sort of like the last stragglers, the unimportant people coming in at the end.
Right. So, oh man. So yeah, so Ryan, so Philip is there. What is Philip wearing?
I think Philip went more for the mundane versus magical fashion side of things. Whether he's still like officially allowed at these sorts of events or not, it's not important. He's not throwing his head in with them. So,
Yeah, I think the first thing Felicity says is like, "What? There's someone has arrived at this party with their name emblazoned on their back, and it's not you."
well, some people maybe need the label, but I'm not one of them.
Ah. Somewhat disappointing still to me, but it will do. I would call it even if we get in and you are able to spread your name far and wide in this hall. Far enough maybe that it hits that short list. That would be much fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course. I imagine that it'll do a fair game of its own spreading, but we can certainly help it along.
And at this point, you reach the front of the line.
Now, instead of playing out the scene with Eleanor, because I imagine she's just going to be professional and kind of distant with someone she doesn't remember, can I spend my monologue token to hear Philip's emotional state of meeting his sister?
As she's wearing her crown.
As she's wearing her crown. So sorry, Ryan. For you who haven't played Good Society, the monologue token is my giant middle finger to you that says that for the next 2.5 minutes, you are going to talk, and only you, and we're all going to latch onto your awesome narration.
Oh, I knew it meant that I have to just narrate now, but I was going, I'm not entirely sure how the monologues are supposed to work. Like, do I just steal narrative authority? Do I have to like narrate my?
It's your internal thoughts. So if you imagine, we literally go into Philip's mind and hear what Philip's internal thoughts are as he is looking at this sibling that he cares so much for, not remembering him. And so we hear first person kind of like what Philip is thinking and feeling at that time. And then you just go for it. You literally just talk until you're done.
Okay, cool. So we're in the line. Philip's definitely thinking, oh yeah, this might even be fun until we get closer to the front and see Eleanor, and he goes, oh god, of course Eleanor is greeting everyone here. She would be doing that, and she doesn't recognize me at all. I'd hope there would be a little bit of something, but no, she doesn't have any idea who I am. Not even that I don't really belong here. This is so much worse than it could have been, and I really wish Felicity would stop chatting with her so we could just disappear into the crowd right now. And oh no, I think I see Mother too. That's just wonderful. I already have so many regrets about this evening. And yes, I certainly hope that there were refreshments, perhaps of an alcoholic nature. And oh my god, why does Felicity have to chat so much?
Yeah, and I think you hear Felicity cutting in, being like, still alive? Still alive, Aunt? I see you've managed to stay 1 foot out of the grave today. You're looking so good in that crown.
Yes, and the oh god, the response was like, it's a pleasure to see you again, Felicity, and I'm glad that you've brought your friend.
Your brother, Philip.
Oh yes,
Stop
yes.
forgetting this.
Quite, my brother Philip.
I know the age is taking you, but
Aww.
I kid.
I actually really want to follow this. Keep the spotlight on Philip for a little bit, as Philip, do you still live in the Ashbury household? Since all of this is going down, or are you staying somewhere else at the moment?
I think that no, I don't live in the Ashbury household. I probably am living with, let's say, like the respectably married Euphemia Sedgwick, who is by no means respectable at all, who definitely has space to let unmarried family friend crash with her indefinitely because
Right.
I'm awesome and so is she.
So I definitely want to see this moment where your mother sees you for the first time in quite some time at an event that you really shouldn't be at. That's Countess
So
Ashbury.
yeah, when Philip manages to extricate himself from this really awkward thing, still kind of looking stricken, and walks almost directly into
Oh
Countess
dear.
Adriana.
Well, and like almost like you're we see just you backing up, right? And we barely see maybe the front of somebody you're about to bump into, and we just hear that voice. And um uh I think she just says something like, I think she almost says it. She's watching you the whole time, right? But she only says the "oh dear" just because she's delicately holding a glass, and she doesn't kind of want you just bumping straight into her, which you're about to do, right? And I think she's just right behind you, right? Like we're nose to nose now.
Oh, mother, lovely to see you here. And I just neatly take the glass from her hand and chug it, because this night is not going well already.
And I think she very calmly, just like we see, the only thing about her that changes is one of her eyebrows immediately goes up, right? But otherwise, she just puts her hand out and just grabs a glass as it's coming by and brings another one forward, right?
And I smoothly put my glass on the tray, like I know
Sorry.
how these things work.
Sorry, can I add a thing here? I want to splash some magic on it. Am I?
Oh yes.
Is that appropriate? So I think that like as Philip puts the empty glass down, it like refills, and the next person picks it up and drinks from it. And like it's as you put an empty glass on this tray, it magically refills, and then you draw it off for the next person.
I'm 100% in love with that. Yeah, that's great. And I think at this point, yeah, we've done our hello kind of thing, but she says, I don't recall seeing you on the or expecting you here on the guest list.
Well, it's wonderful that there was that +1 allowance on the invitations, isn't it? You, of course, remember Felicity. You aren't nearly old enough to have forgotten her, I imagine.
Yes, I remember Felicity. There's nothing but impatience in her voice as well. When are you going to grow up and stop playing with these children?
Oh my goodness, I'm just, sorry, out of character, looking at the chat going, yep, this is the person I need to ingratiate myself to. I'm doing such a hot job. I'm awesome. Well, it's a fair sight more difficult to grow up when you've been cast out of your family. I feel no particular pressure at the moment. But I might also remind you that we are basically of an age. I wouldn't consider her to be children.
I base my assessment purely on behavior. Trust me. But you do make a good point. I think she's talking to your thing of cast out, and she says, "Well, at least you're here, at this fine event. Uh, I'll be watching."
And snags the glasses that comes by and kind of mutters into it. I'm sure you will. Drains it entirely too fast and puts it away on another tray.
I think that's great. I don't think she doesn't seem to acknowledge that and just kind of like starts to walk away.
Nice. So I reckon we've got 2 scenes left in this novel chapter as we are running short on time. Firstly, I want to see Jaji in a scene at this event, and don't sort of worry about how you got in or anything. Set us up with the most interesting scene that Jaji might be in, and we can see that.
So somebody mentioned canapes earlier, and I am like 100% there. I think like from that last view, we're seeing like a plate, like this beautiful silver plate, and there's, you know, prawn skewers, and there's like salmon wrapped around twisted cucumbers, and probably some kind of like polenta cakes with something on it, and melted, cheese, kind of like perfectly melted on top of it. So I think we're seeing this tray with all these treats, and and we see this little hand come down and pick something off, and then another one, and then another one, and kind of like placing them in his palm. So there's like this whole little stack, like one of each kind is in his like in a little pyramid on his hand. And I think so then we see, this is the first time maybe we see Jaji, and I kind of like where V was going with the whole the local witches association, like dress is not a thing, right? No trinkets, like that's not really our deal, right? And so I think we see Jaji, and he's wearing like something extremely casual, right? It's just like a beige shirt. It's almost like the equivalent of what you would expect a t-shirt to look like, right? I mean, sure, it's not a t-shirt, but it's kind of just got like, some kind of like mundane design on it, right? Maybe it even looks like a band shirt or something, and just very casual pants. And he's just walking around through the crowds, just kind of like chomping on these little things and like, ooh, oh, that was good. And like saying hi to people, but he doesn't look like he belongs there. Like he definitely doesn't look like he fits. And I think he walks up to, I want to say to, well, unless you have ideas, I'm kind of happy for him to walk up to Oliver, because we know that he's kind of here accompanying Oliver, right? As the +1.
Yes, that sounds great. And I think Oliver is like he looks at your like shirt, which is starting to become ruffled and a little bit open at the edges, and he just like this really pained look comes over his face, and he's just like, oh, and he like reaches, he wants to reach forward to like fix it, but then he's overwhelmed by his personal sense of propriety, so he like hesitates, and he's like, do you really have to get so many at the same time?
I've got them for you. Like it's between like mouthfuls of, and he's like holding his hand out with this pile of food, right?
Yeah, and he's like, oh, and he like I think he like puts out his hand, and like one of the plates on the side just like levitates over and sort of like spins around with a swirl and stops on his hand, and he starts like slowly taking the canapes off your hand and putting them on the plate.
And I think we're getting this view of him being like more proper. And I think at that point, I just grab one of them and I'm like, this one is so good. And I'm just kind of like, you can see me moving it over to put it in his mouth, right?
Right. And I think like if we imagine like following this almost slow-mo, like Oliver's face is in such a state of shock that he's unable to do anything about it, and I think it just
Wait.
sort of like.
Can I use a resolve token to have crashed into one of these, like, I don't know, it's just my bad luck, isn't it? I trip over and I hit the thing carrying all the plates, and I sort of like interrupt this moment at that point.
And this is Francine, right?
Yeah, this is Francine.
Do you knock into the plate and like you yourself also fall down, or is it like, did you just kind of, yeah, how does that look?
Yeah, so I think there's a crash actually from nearby, and sort of the jumping. I guess I would like it to Jaji sort of jumps a little bit, and that's like how the canapé kind of comes out of his hand. And as you two turn around, it's just Francine sort of like patting down like a little wine stain on her dress. So that now there's this big purple stain here.
And I think Oliver gives Francine a look of absolute and total contempt. Like, there could be nothing worse in the world than this woman.
But I think we see that Jaji immediately, kind of like you're just kind of like wiping yourself off from all that, the mess, right? And I think he, like we see that contempt look from Oliver next to me, but we see a very kind of like entertained and friendly look on Jaji's face. And, I look over and, there's kind of like a little bit of a smile, but, I don't want you to think that I'm, laughing at you, for example. And I say, first, that's an excellent selection. And I'm pointing like at all the canapes that are all over the floor. I'm like, they're all great. And I said, that color is beautiful on you. And again, I'm pointing at like, you're currently like wiping that purple, wine stain. But yeah, like I don't, it's friendly. It doesn't look like I'm, in any way making fun of you.
Yeah. I think we grew up together, and I sort of understand that to be like, that's just Jaji, but like Francine just totally blushes, because it's like when someone notices that you've done something and is drawing attention to it, even though that's not what they meant. And it, like, totally, she's really embarrassed. And she sort of says, Mr. Prasanna, I'm so sorry for the spectacle. And I think she sort of curtsies to Oliver, to the other gentleman there, and says,
Oliver totally goes,
Professor Philpotts?
It's Wizard Prasanna.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. Like, I don't have to do any of that stuff. And, I think I look over at him. Like, I don't look at him. Like, I don't think he sees me. But you can see, I think you see that this kind of annoyed look comes on my face, that he's got this attitude, right? And, I think we haven't greeted each other yet here, right? So I think I put my hand out. What do you think we do? Like, I don't know about this, like, kissing hands, like traditional, like, how do people kind of like shake hands?
Yeah, let's do it.
Or do we have like a special thing within our, within the local witches association that we do?
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I like that, the idea of like a handshake, and we sort of shake it twice, and then sort of like lean into each other, like do like a kind of like
like it's like a half hug, like a bro hug kind of thing.
I know it's a bro, but like, where you kind of come in closer. Ooh, I like that. Maybe that's cool. Like, there's a moment where we like lean closer and like press foreheads or something like that. Like, so it's kind of like cool and intimate.
Totally.
I will give a resolve token for, when you're at a party and you try to tell someone something closely and the music stops and like everyone seems to pay attention at the same time.
Yes.
That is this moment. And you like do your special witchy handshake.
Yeah.
And you press your foreheads and it's like everything stops and goes silent and people just stare at you.
I think the one word that comes out, because he just tried to make, you said Mr. Prasanna, and he was like, that's wizard, right?
Mhm.
And I think when we lean close like that, I just say, just Jaji.
Nice. And I think that's definitely an appropriate result token. So I'm assuming that's accepted from you guys.
Yeah.
So in this case, we'll transform that 1 into 2, and you can both get a result token for that. So basically, like, I love that moment of like you leaning in and saying it's Jaji, and like, but it's totally silent. And the reason why it's totally silent is because Eleanor is just about to announce who is being shortlisted for the new position of head of the College of Wizards. And so everybody the music had gone quiet for that to happen. And like, you just hear sort of like almost echoing a little bit around the room, like it's Jaji, carries a little bit, and everyone's just looking around at, like, right when this College of Wizardry announcement is about to happen, these two people are doing a local witches association thing, like right here, right now. And it's like totally silent. And Eleanor, you're on stage, you're about to start talking, and you see this. How do you react?
Oh boy. Okay. If I weren't sworn to Jaji, this would be a very different circumstance. I think there's that moment where, like, I'm taken aback, and probably a lot of people in the audience are taken aback, and I have to, like, regain my composure and, like, make sure that I seize attention again, because it's Shaji. I can't make this a thing about. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Okay. Thank you, Ryan.
Jump in and tell us what you're doing.
I'm spending a monologue token to make that first person narration because I need the deets.
Okay. So we start just before Eleanor steps up to the stage, and she's like, her hands are ringing, and she's very obviously nervous. And I think that we actually see what's particularly magic-y. I think nail polish is anachronistic, but I'm also okay with that unless someone wants to jump in on it. So, like, we see that she's like chipping away at her nail polish, like scratching it off with her fingernails, with this like anxiety, right? And she, and she's just anxious, and we get all these signs that, like, she's really uncomfortable in this position, and she straightens this crown, takes a deep breath, and she thinks to herself, okay, Eleanor, this is it. Once you announce this, we're one step closer to being done with all of this worry. And as she steps up to the edge of the crowd, she takes this deep breath, closes her eyes, and when she opens them, everyone's silent. But nobody's looking at her. They've all turned to face these two witches in the corner. And through Eleanor's mind, she thinks, like, okay, this is okay. Nobody's looking at me. I can just run and everything will be fine. If I could just leave now and no one would notice. And then she sees that, like, it's Shaji in there, and she's like, okay, I've promised. But you're doing the witchy shit. And she's like, oh no. Oh, can I really leave the College of Wizardry in the hands of someone associated with the local witch? Like, this would dissolve our entire group, and it would remove our independence and our separation from the local witches association. And I think that's the moment that she sees when she makes the decision that she will do everything she can to torpedo Francine and her nomination. She'll still make the nomination because that's the agreement she's made, but she'll torpedo it as hard as she can.
I love it. So let's flash back into like a real-time play and go ahead, make the nominations.
Yeah, so I think like we just hear the sound of the room come up, like the mixers turned up, and Eleanor clears her throat, and there's nothing, and she like does it again, and this time it's like this magical bellow, and it echoes off the walls. And I think if you were close enough, you'd realize the voice is coming from the crown and not from her mouth. And she says, greetings, esteemed members of the College of Wizardry. It is my honor to welcome you to this, the 375th meeting. It is in my esteemed and advanced age that I must relinquish this, the crown of the college. And so, in accordance with our traditions, I will nominate 2 members upon whom you will vote to lead our wizards into the fierce and oncoming age. And I'm trying to think of a wizardy way that she does it, that she like displays these people. I think there's like she probably like, okay, there's like a box, this like large wooden box inlaid with like intricate symbols and stuff, right? And oh fuck, that's so much better, Haley. I'm stealing it. It's so much better. And she opens this box, and from inside it, she pulls. I think it'd be like, man, it'd be like slips of paper, but and they're like torn in half, and you leave the half that you of the person you want to vote for, right? So it's like they're like ballot halves. And she pulls them out and she like arranges them on the desk, and she shuffles, like she like taps them together like they're cards and puts them together. And she says, our first nominee, a fierce and powerful magician, Mr. Oliver Philpotts, and he like elevates, he floats above the crowd. And there's the applause from the crowd, the polite applause. And that seems to like swell underneath him and lift him a little bit higher. And she says, and for our second nominee, to bridge the gap between us and the local witches association, a fine magician and someone worthy of your respect, though perhaps not someone that you've known, Miss Francine Lowe. And like, I think like Francine floats a little bit, and then there's a little bit of applause, and she doesn't float as high because there's not that upswell of the crowd to push her.
And I think I'm definitely applauding loudly. That doesn't help with the floating, by the way.
No, but you know who else is applauding loudly is Zamir. And when he claps, it's like a gust of wind floating from his hand. Single-handedly pushes Francine up.
And Francine is shocked. I think there's like a little moment before she like her name is announced, like because why would she think it was her? That, you know, she's like mid salmon canapé, wine stain on her dress, and she at first thinks she's just stumbled and that she's about to fall again. And then
I think Sid nailed it, by the way. This is going to be monologue time, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, at the so she starts floating up into the air, and in the movie version, I guess, like the camera, like sort of like like the actress playing Francine is on like one of those wire things, and the camera's swirling around. You can see everyone in the background, and they're just like, oh my god, it's my name. I'm not even part of this college. And then you see the rational thoughts start going away, and it's like, it's a sea of laughing faces. I know it's going to be, and if it's not laughter, it's going to be a gut-wrenching boo. How could this happen to me at this moment? This is not how I wish this to be. Unless, of course, and then, Francine looks over at Eleanor. This is some cruel joke that Eleanor has played on me, that she's more angry than I could ever dream of, that this curse that's plagued me from the Ashburys is this curse that young Philip has laid is only just the beginning, just a splash in the ocean of Eleanor's vengeance. End scene.
Yeah, that's the end of our
Oh my
novel
God.
chapter. Oh, so
Vio.
amazing, V.
V, I want to cuddle you forever.
Eh.
I just want to make sure no one hurts you.
Bitch, I'm gonna slay this election.
Yes. Can I say that I really want I really want to see this. Oh my god, bring it.
Me too.
But we are at 15:15. Do people have another 15 minutes-ish for us to quickly do reputation? Because it's one of those ones where when you hang over, it's like really, really hard to remember. Is that okay?
Rep me.
Ryan, yep.
Give me rumors plus minus scandal.
We will save those for next time, but we will do reputation. So on your family background sheet, which I think we have all successfully located, you will see some questions. There are two. So there's positive reputation questions and negative reputation questions. And there are two which are the same for everybody, and then every family background has a unique one. And what we are going to do is, based on the chapter that just occurred, we are going to assess whether our characters have met any of those reputation criteria. And if your character meets the positive reputation criteria, then they gain a positive reputation tag. If they meet the negative reputation criteria, any of them, then they'll gain a negative reputation tag. If they don't meet any, then their reputation will remain unchanged. You can gain a positive and a negative tag in the same reputation phase. That is possible. I am going to start with V because she's done this before. And don't feel like you need to read out everything to us. Just tell us if there's one that you thought you met and read that one and tell us why. If not, that's cool too.
Yeah, right. I don't think I went up or down this particular phase. So I don't think I hit any of those triggers, positive or negative.
Cool. Yeah, this was the phase where stuff happened to you, and I look forward to the bit where you do shit.
Yeah.
Sid.
I think I acted in accordance with duty in contravention to in a way that compromised my desires.
Was this
I think
the kiss of the hand?
Yeah, I think that and nominating Francine both are like, yeah. Yeah. But definitely having to treat my mother my stepmother like a person. God.
I totally will give you that. So now what we need to do is decide what word does society think about you now as a result of you doing that? So what positive thing do they think about you?
So here's my thought, and sorry, I'm leaning into my positive tags in my family background for these. Is that right?
No, you don't have to. Now it's open slather. So whatever positive
okay.
you would like.
I want to kind of capture that duty before self thing, right? That like, can anyone think of a good word for putting the college before myself, or
Self-effacing.
self-effacing?
I mean, yeah, just dutiful.
Beautiful.
Dutiful or devoted probably feel more positive to me. I love self-effacing, and I intend to be that, but that will be my negative tag for sure, V. So let's go for dutiful now.
Beautiful.
I am beautiful and dutiful.
And in the next coming chapters, we'll hopefully get some mileage out of these. But for now, Ryan.
So I don't think I really tagged either of them because I was in contravention of society's conventions, but not to a greater extent than I feel like the peerage can really get away with.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You didn't do anything outrageous, so I think you kind of towed the line there as well. And of course, Georgie. Let's hear about his rep.
I think, I mean, there's one that calls to me a little bit, which is fracture. And it says someone close to you is appalled by your behavior and refuses to talk to you. And I'm kind of thinking about Oliver here.
So that is a reputation condition. So
oh, that's a reputation
we're
condition.
looking at the reputation criteria. So
Damn it.
Those are the questions.
I broke it.
Family background sheet. Yeah. So you need to find the family background sheet again. The one
I'm doing
that
it.
had your
I'm doing it.
starting rep tags.
Oh, got it.
But if things keep going downhill,
I know what I'm doing.
Fracture.
The one that maybe, so let's see, is gain a negative tag if you acted in contravention of society's conventions. Like it feels like a little bit here, right?
Mate, you did that scene where you literally stopped a party by acting in contravention to society's conventions.
And specifically the wizards' conventions, like the college's conventions, right? Like contextually, I think.
I think it fits.
I like it.
So what negative word would people now use to describe Georgie as a result of all that kerfuffle?
And I'm open if people have got, yeah. I mean, I don't know if uncouth kind of sounds right, but you know.
Yeah, uncouth sounds perfect. I was thinking of along very similar lines. Let's go for uncouth. That sounds great.
And I just put that under the negative reputation tags, right?
Yeah, that's definitely going to come back to bite you, especially when we get your mother involved. Cool. So that is the end of our reputation phase, and where
factions actually have a reputation phase.
Oh my gosh, magic stuff. Faction reputation.
Faction rep.
So we have a 1-up from Eleanor, who is College of Wizardry. And then we have a 1 down for the local Witches Association due to Georgie's scandalous behavior.
Yep.
So,
God damn it, Georgie. Keep it in your pants.
So that doesn't change either of their current influence states, because the College of Wizardry is still influential and the local Witches Association is still neutral, but if it keeps going, things are going to change. Cool. Yes, so that is the end of the reputation phase for realsies this time. And that is where we will leave it tonight, and we will come back next week and start off with rumors and scandal. So thanks for watching our first playtest session, and I cannot wait to see where this goes.